might attend a place of worship on Sunday mornings or Wednesday evenings. It might be a nice time for you to meditate and really immerse yourself in your faith. When I go to my prayer services on Friday afternoons, on my way there, I say a small prayer that no one will walk into the mosque, pull out a gun, and shoot everyone there. I say a small prayer that the policeman our mosque hires to attend every service does not get injured while protecting us. I create scenarios in my head for how I would get the children out of the building and what I would do if confronted with the shooter. When I'm not at the mosque, I pray that the words Islamic Center of the South Plains are not another headline on the news. This is the reality of Islamophobia and the real people it affects. Today, I will be discussing with you the way in which Islamophobia has risen in the United States, including in our small community of Lubbock, Texas. First, I will describe to you the actual Islamophobic acts that have happened. Then, I will go on to describe the small acts of kindness that can be done to stop it. Finally, I will help you visualize what world we can live in with just the acceptance of a single rose. Islamophobia is an international epidemic. It's caused by the terrorist organizations that incite its ideology and create this violent acts that people associate Islam with. And it can only be stopped by people like you. According to this Lubbock County city data, out of the 58 recognized religions in Lubbock, 18% of the population are Muslims, the sixth most populous religion in the city. Despite this, the number of violent acts against Muslims has become overwhelmingly increasing with the increase in international acts of terror. There are some acts that you might have heard about on the news. For example, on May 13, 2015, the words "No Muslims" were spray painted across the seal of the Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center. Not only did the TTU-HEC release a statement condemning the intolerant language, but the following morning, the Health Sciences Center students created an Everyone is Welcome rally, to which faculty and students attended to show support for their community members. The irony of the fact that the "No Muslims" was spray painted across the seal is that if you think of almost any specialty of medicine in Lubbock, you'll find that Muslims are interwoven within almost all of them. Ophthalmology, gastroenterology, dentistry, to name a few. Out of the 2 pediatric hematologists in Lubbock, doctors who specialize in childhood cancer, one of them is a Muslim man. The irony of the words "No Muslims" on a medical center was not lost on anyone, but instead brought to light the prevalent Islamophobic acts that have become increasing more with the international acts of terror that have been going on. On November 25th, 2015, immediately following the attacks in Paris, the lamps of the Texas Tech University student mosque were ripped out of their sockets and used to smash the glass front door. Fortunately, it was early enough in the morning that no one was in the mosque, but again, Islamophobia reared its ugly head. Some good did come out of the act. The students actually started a GoFundMe to raise $500 to fix the damages. Not only did they exceed their goal, they raised over $2,000, giving the indication that there is some tolerance in the community. There are some acts of microaggression that you might not have heard of on the news. When my friend realized that part of her tuition goes to all her free tickets to the football games, she decided to attend one. She only ever attended one in her 4 years at Texas Tech because the amount of prejudice, bigotry, and the racist slurs she received in response to her headscarf were too overwhelming and hateful for her to even enjoy the game. I hope at this point you are all asking yourselves, what can I even do to stop Islamophobia? I'll tell you. It doesn't involve posting anything on social media or attending any rallies. It doesn't even involve your personal acceptance of the religion for fear of conflicting with your own religious views. The Muslim Student Association hands out roses in the free speech area almost every other week. Some of these roses have pamphlets on them that say misconceptions about Islam. All I ask is that you walk through the free speech area and you accept one from them. That's it. You don't have to read the pamphlet if you're not interested. But when you accept that rose from that Muslim, they recognize that acceptance. And when somebody sees you walking around that day carrying a rose, they'll either already know why you have it, Or they'll ask you who gave it to you, and you'll say, the Muslim Student Association. And that rose, a symbol for many of love and kindness, can create a whole different emotion in another person. According to US News, data has begun to show that there is an increasing sentiment of anti-Muslim bias and fears of terrorist attacks in the United States, with people associating images of the Black ISIS flags and the violent attacks in Europe with the faith of Islam. This is despite the fact that, according to the Pew Research Center, recent surveys show that most people in several countries with significant Muslim populations have an unfavorable view of ISIS. The extremist group that commit these treacherous acts have begun to say that they are doing this in the name of Islam. This is where the Islamophobia begins. So when you accept that rose from that student, it's not going to create worldwide tolerance. It's not even going to create a dent in the Islamophobia that exists in this loving community. But when you accept a rose from that student, that Muslim recognizes that acceptance. The fear and isolation that they walk around with constantly diminishes just a little bit. And then if you accept a rose, and you accept a rose, he'll accept a rose, and she'll accept a rose. In their minds, people will stop associating the Islamic faith with images of black flags and of the terrorist attacks that have been occurring across the world. Instead, when people think of Muslims, they'll think of a rose and the love and purity associated with it. Then maybe somewhere down along the line, a Muslim student who identifies herself by wearing a headscarf can enjoy a game like a true Red Raider. I hope that one day I can walk into a mosque and not immediately recognize the escape routes. But as loud as I can be, and as much as I try to push for that change, it'll never come from me, a Muslim woman. That change can only come from people who are not of the Islamic faith, but refuse to allow the fear of it. Hate crimes against Muslims will continue to occur and have been occurring in Lubbock, in the United States, and across the world unless small acts of kindness start to replace that. The thing is that it has become an international crisis, and the whole image of it can change with just the acceptance of a single rose. Islamophobia is an international epidemic. Only people like you have the power to stop it.